I recently bought the M.Graham's intermediate watercolor set, and a lot of you on Instagram asked me to review this and give my first impressions. So, here we go. Hi, I'm Sravanti. Welcome to Aquarian Diaries, and let's get started. M.Graham finally launched in India, and I had to get myself the 10 color watercolor set. Apart from this, M.Graham also has quite a few other sets that have 5 colors each. I found that the colors were quite vibrant, with a whole array from yellow to browns. M. Graham also claims to use natural honey as its binder, which allows for high pigment loads and contributes to smooth washes. So let's unbox this together and see if M. Graham really stands up to its claims. The M. Graham watercolor sets come in a cardboard packaging. The one I have has 2 rows of 5 colors each. The packaging isn't very sturdy, so I might have to shift them over to my paints organizer in the longer run. The tubes here are of 15 ml each, and all the pigment information are provided on the side of the tube. I'm sorry, my camera lost focus, and here you can see the information. It shows you the pigment numbers, the light fastness, and also the binder that's used for this watercolor tube. There's some more information on the front of the tube, like the series it belongs to. So the higher the series, the more pricier it gets. So this set contains a combination of series 1, 2, and 3 pigments. Now let's start filling up this new palette that I have. This is from Magello Mission and it's an airtight palette. Now at the very onset, I found some of the color tubes bursting with colors as soon as I opened the cap. So I had to go in with a paintbrush and remove the excess paint and put it into my palette. The general impression was as soon as you open the cap, you do not see the binder separating from the pigments, which I have noticed in some of the other watercolor sets that I have. The colors are very vibrant, as you can see on the screen, and I had left them out in the open for 3 days to see that if they dry under the weather conditions. Now I live in a place which is rather dry, and honey is known to be a humectant. So I was curious to see if the paints dried out when kept in the open. It would also help me understand if these pigments were good to be put in a travel palette and also to gauge the rewettability of these pigments. Now you see me using the brush to take off the extra pigments that were bursting out of the individual tubes. I personally don't mind it, it just ends up being a little messy. But if you're in your studio, I think it's pretty much okay. So here you can see the juicy pigments up close. I left them in the open for a couple of days and they retained their vibrancy. They were still sticky to touch after 2-3 days. And let's do some color play now. I took the pigments that were still on my brush from before and I just kept on adding clean water to see how the pigments interacted with water. Now let's replay this one more time. I wanted to zoom in to show you the instant dance of the pigments in water. I think this will be really helpful when mixing pigments wet on the paper. I expect to see really beautiful mixes and gradients happening in the painting. The colors I chose here were pyrrole red, sap green, dioxazine purple, and quinacridone gold. And pretty much all these colors showed a similar behavior when mixed with clean water. There was just abundance of pigment, and I think the claim that M.Graham makes about the pigment load is justified. Now you see the rewettability of the pigment on the paper, and it shows how quickly it rewetted. And now moving on to the swatches. Here you see me writing down the pigment names. So going from the left to the right, we have azo yellow, azo orange, pyrrole red, permanent alizarin crimson, phthalo green, sap green, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, burnt sienna, and nickel quinacridone gold. I appreciate the fact that this set has almost the split primary, which would give me a whole range of secondary colors and also help me choose between a neutral secondary versus a very vibrant secondary color. I'm not sure if the camera is doing justice, but do you see the pigment pyrrole red, how vibrant it is? It just seems to be jumping out of the paper. The phthalo green is a good mixing green, and if you do love painting seascapes, then the phthalo green mixed with the ultramarine blue and the dioxazine purple can give you a whole array of turquoise. The same is with the azo yellow with the quinacridone gold and the pyrrole red. You can get a whole array of oranges. I love the fact that this set is really versatile. You're not limited to painting a certain kind of landscapes. And now a close up. My favorite from this set is definitely pyrrole red, phthalo green, the nickel quinacridone gold, and the yellow. Here I'm showing you certain mixes that I have made. Quick demo to show you the versatility of this set while I summarize my first impressions. There is no denying that the pigment load is a bang for its buck, and it gives you the option to water it down to a very transparent wash. This definitely is a plus point if you are like me and you love painting in layers. I was painting this illustration after keeping the pigments open for a couple of days, and as you see, the pigments really start activating once it touches the water. I really love the fact that you can create a whole array of color mixes because of this property. This also goes to show that the choice of binder helps with this property, and the fact that they have used honey, which is a humectant like I mentioned before, really helps the pigments activate when it touches water. Overall, I have no complaints except for the fact that these pigments stay juicy for a long time. So if you are on the move, if you are going to put this in a travel palette, you might run the risk of the pigments seeping through the cracks of the palette, and that is something I would like to avoid. So would it fit into my travel palette? Absolutely not. I would rather prefer taking them in the tube form and using them as much or as little as the painting demands. Now that I've used this set of 10, I am very much looking forward to trying their set of quinacridons. I have seen a few videos on YouTube where people have reviewed it, and the choice of pigments in that set really called out to me. So maybe in the future, look out for a first impression or an unboxing or a review of this set. Now, if you ask me if I would recommend this to you, if you have the budget that supports this set, I would definitely ask you to go for it. As the tubes are high on the pigment load, you will require very little of it. And given the vibrancy and the color choices in the set, you will definitely not be limited to painting a certain kind of painting. You can go from the very vibrant sunsets to the very moody, cloudy landscapes as well. This, coupled with the fact that M.Graham as an eco-conscious brand, would also give you the clear conscience of painting as well as taking care of the planet. Why don't you give it a try? There are a huge variety of sets, so pick one that suits your need and you definitely will not be disappointed. Let me know in the comments if you did give it a try, if you liked the brand, and what was your experience of using it. The only cons of this brand of watercolors would be the fact that the pigments keep wet for a long time, and it doesn't suit me in terms of being a travel friendly palette, but I think I can work around that. I wouldn't recommend this to a complete beginner given the price range it retails at, but M.Graham does retail some of these tubes as open stock, so you can choose to pick one of them up and see how you feel about the colors. Overall, I would give it about 4.5 out of 5. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and the first impression of this watercolor set. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to review any other watercolor sets, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye for now.